how to structure a mastermind group. A lot of people on the internet talk how to pitch a mastermind, but in this video, I'm going to talk about how to structure it, and that's definitely different. Let's dive in. Hey, so I've been in a lot of mastermind groups. Actually, in 2019, I spent 150 grand on personal coaching and masterminds. It was a lot, and part of it is because I really believe in the model. I also think that you shouldn't be learning from somebody who is not also being actively coached themselves at the same time. And so it's actually one of the things that I do when I'm asking, hey, I would love to be a student of yours. Who are you getting coached from right now? And it's not that I'm trying to go also to the same. I'm just trying to make sure that they are. There is something to be said to constantly being in the weeds, learning while you're also teaching. And I think it makes you a better teacher while you go forward with it. So I've been part of quite a few masterminds, and I want to give you some of the little tricks and tips and ways that we've structured my most recent personal mastermind. First tip right here, guys, your mastermind should have a focus. I hate joining masterminds. In fact, I've left masterminds where there's not a clear outcome, where it's like, look, the purpose of this mastermind is because we all want to blank, whatever that is. Double conversions, right? Increase our net worth, learn from one another, but that's not really an awesome one. And most mastermind groups, that is the only purpose. They're like, we're just gonna talk and network and learn together. It's like, about what? The best masterminds I love, the best masterminds I've been a part of, and my own, has a very specific theme. And one of the ways to control that theme, create what is called a success path. The success path basically maps out the time that someone actually has inside the mastermind. Hey, first 2 months, we want you to focus on this. Next 2 months, we want to focus on this. Next 6 months, your whole outcome is to go chase this right here. Does that make sense? So we basically create a curriculum. They can go down it as fast as they want. It's a high-level mastermind. And we're not trying to say like, you got this entire course. Like, that's too constricting, especially for mastermind levels. But we do want to have some kind of outcome and purpose for why they're in there in the first place. What is it that your mastermind can help them get that they would have a hard time getting on their own? This has kept me in groups really long, and it has also made me exit groups really fast when they don't really have much of an outcome. In fact, there's a mastermind I decided to not continue with a couple of months ago, and that was one of the issues. I was like, I don't really know the outcome anymore. I'm not sure. I'll also tell you one of the piece, the moment you start getting quoted in people's takeaways too much, it's time for you to leave. Never be the smartest person in a mastermind. All right, second tip on how to structure a really healthy mastermind, make it actually challenging to join. All right, I don't want anyone to join who just happens to have the money. What I want to do is, I do the same thing. It's like, look, I don't care if you have the cash. It's not about that. I asked Russell Brunson once, because I joined his inner circle after I left ClickFunnels. I joined it and I was like, dude, how do you find such a good how did you create such a killer mastermind? And almost everyone has heard of his mastermind. It's been closed for a few years. No idea if he'll reopen it. People ask me, I don't know. But I asked him, how do you fill it with such good people? And he said, that is the hardest part. He said, if you create like a bar, right? Create a bar, and if you're not this tall to ride this ride, you're not joining. You're not joining. And what it does is it does make people push a little bit harder, but it actually also protects the group. And it's not to say it's like they are meant to be slightly exclusive, right? And again, it's not to be out of this like snooty thing at all. It's that if I'm on stage and I have a business problem and I say, hey guys, this is the problem that I'm experiencing. Do you have any advice? And someone in the audience doesn't even have a clue what internet marketing is and they just happen to have the money to get in there, I don't want to hear from them. They're wasting my time and my money. Does that make sense? It actually protects the integrity of the group. So there's some ways we do that. We make it so that, hey, you have to have generated this amount of money to be in this room. Not that that's the price of it. It's just, it's a block. It's kind of like how, right, when you were going into high school, you can't immediately go into college. They're like, these are some credentials you have to hit. Same exact thing. So we're like, here's the credentials you have to hit. Another one it's a great filter. Another one that's a fantastic filter is that there's no payment plans. So like, for example, my mastermind's 50 grand. Okay, it's 50 grand and we help people increase their net worth and help them get closer to an automated $1 million a month in revenue, right? That's the whole purpose of the mastermind. Net worth and market worth, boom. And if someone can't handle $50,000, they are not in a place in their business where they should be working with us, right? They just shouldn't. Right? We really don't, it's very rare that we have any kind of exceptions to that. Russell Brunson's mastermind is very, obviously there's a few exceptions and things like that. He's like, hey, I know you, or I know that you're just in a weird spot financially. But overall, like, we don't really allow payment plans. And that's very common in masterminds to not let there be payment plans for that reason. There was a mastermind I watched Russell join once. It was a $100,000 mastermind. There's some really expensive ones out there, but think about who that attracts. And it is. I used to make fun of masterminds. You understand? I used to make fun of them. I was like, why on earth would you sit in a room and pay a lot of money for people to give you some advice when you could just do some thinking on your own, do some Googling on your own? And I eat my words. That is the dumbest mentality on the planet. I have never had so much growth in my entire life than with masterminds. You understand? I don't read nearly as much as you probably think I do. I attend masterminds and I solve the problem that's directly in front of me. That's it. Okay, that's really the ways I've been growing so fast in just the last 3 years. So don't make fun of them. Figure out how to get in the room. And when there's no payment plan, really fantastic gate to keep out the wrong person. All right, number 3, you have to understand that people join masterminds who are already kind of successful or at least experienced in some sort, and they need to know the plan. This one's really, really easy, but create a schedule and put the yearly schedule out in a lot of advance notice. Okay, I plan all of my personal marketing campaigns about 3 months out. So if I'm part of a mastermind and someone's like, hey, we're gonna meet in 3 weeks from now, I'm probably not gonna go. And it's really frustrating. If you're structuring a mastermind, make sure that everybody knows the plan with a lot of runway, more runway than you would normally do. And again, it goes back to the reasoning that you're not dealing with people who are just sitting there twiddling thumbs. These are active people who are literally trying to be titans of industry, right? That are trying to go and make things that are really powerful and popular in the marketplaces. That's not a small thing. It takes an exorbitant amount of energy. Respect that. So what we'll do is we have 2 different times. So 6 months, we do an event, right? And then 6 months later, we do another mastermind. We actually don't call it a mastermind. We call it a board of directors. We have a board of directors, and then 6 months later will be another one. Now, we only have 50 people in our mastermind, and we won't let anyone else in. 50 is the cap. And so we have 2 days where it's 25 people. Monday, Tuesday is 25 people. Wednesday is a break day. And then we have the next group of people, which is Thursday, Friday, which is the other 25 people. And then we go 6 months, and then we have board of directors again 6 months after that. Just a very simple schedule like that so people understand. You do need structure, but you also have to be able to do the next few pieces here as well. You do need structure, but you need to keep it loose at the same time. Make sure that you're always leaving time for networking inside of a mastermind. They're not joining to just be talked at or lectured to. Half the reason to be in those rooms is you can imagine who's in the room, so give them time to talk to each other. The structure in just open space, free time where people can just chat. Hey guys, before showing you these last few ways that I like to structure a mastermind, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let me know what kind of masterminds you've loved being a part of in the comments also. I'm always looking for new ones. I've joined a lot of them. I can't believe how much I've gotten from them, and it'll be dumb for me to not be in the future. Whatever your favorite mastermind is, just put the title of it down below. I'd love to know. All right, 4th tip about creating and structuring a really powerful mastermind. Understand that it's hard to sell one if you don't already have an existing business. Very rarely, or some kind of credential, you know what I mean? Like, who buys into masterminds? Who buys into my board of directors? We actually call it Titans of Industry is the name of my mastermind. Who buys into Titans of Industry? I'll tell you who buys into Titans of Industry is people who already have a business, but they're already following me. These are not brand new people. And they are already, meaning hot traffic is what buys something like a mastermind. Hot traffic, meaning they know who you are, they understand what you do, they're very familiar with your stuff. And I say all that to let you know, I don't typically run ads to fill a mastermind. I've seen people do it, and it's not to say it doesn't work, but the simplest and easiest way, which I still believe is, I think it's one of the best ways. I don't know that it would be awesome to run ads to a mastermind funnel. Hey, Facebook ad, $5 turned into a $50,000 thing. Like, it doesn't make sense. The masterminds, in my opinion, are very much best sold to those who are already on your list, and you're not reaching out to them with a paid Facebook ad. That's way too expensive of a product. Number 5, I love this one. Specific masterminds I've been a part of, they use the collective buying power of the group to bring people in that you would not have access to as an individual. I've got to listen to guys from Shark Tank, a lot of people who it would be very hard for me to have the reach and the relationship in order to learn from them. And so, but the collective buying power of the group will grab somebody and pull somebody in and teach for half a day. And you're like, holy smokes, that was insanely valuable. There's no way I could reach out and grab them. It's one of the major benefits. So whenever if you're planning to try and structure one to put one together, think through who those people are. Bring in, some big people that people would just not be able to grab on their own. And that is a huge value add. It's one of the major benefits of being part of an elite group like that. All right, last but not least, and it's certainly not an exhaustive list at all, guys, you should always have one-on-one onboarding at that price point. Okay, at that price point, They should be able to get on the phone with you, whoever the director is, the owner, the manager of that the host of that mastermind. Jump on and get to know each other, right? Face to face if you can, Zoom or some kind of video conferencing. But the purpose of that first, Russell used to call it decade in a day, meaning he's gonna take his decade worth of experience and help you understand really what you should be doing in about 30 minutes. And he'll do the whole day just onboarding new people in front of the rest of the group. It's extremely valuable and some of the best education I've ever seen. But one-on-one onboarding is great because you got two outcomes you're really trying to get. The first is that you want to onboard them, welcome to the group, and get to know them. The second, though, is you're trying to tailor your success path to the person. Okay, you know what? In your situation, in that industry, I would do 1, 2, and 3 because you're in that situation. I wouldn't do that, though, if you weren't, but you are. Right? Does that make sense? So while the mastermind has a goal, a specific outcome, and a theme of the entire mastermind, I do want to get a one-on-one onboarding, and that's what I do, is what we do one-on-one, and the purpose is to set very specific benchmarks along the way for them to progress. That has been really quite powerful, and it's really, when I haven't gotten that, it kind of throws, it's like having a ship with no rudder, right? Yeah, you got an engine, but you're probably gonna spin around in circles and really not get anywhere. Masterminds are not meant to be a course, but by setting those benchmarks and those goals, you're dealing with people who are self-starters and they crush. So you're just saying, hey, here's X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, and 3. Do these things because you're in this specific situation, and do it in front of the rest of the mastermind attendees and members. Very powerful. Hey guys, if you want to see all this stuff in action, go to titansofindustry.com. A lot of people have tried to buy that URL for me. It's mine. It's awesome. Titansofindustry.com. The link is in the description. It is my personal mastermind, but you can see everything I'm teaching here and a lot more described and shown on the page right there. It may be a great thing for you to model. And if you think you're a fit as well, apply. We'll jump on and see if you are.